Whether as a buyer or a seller, you really need to make sure you discuss with your realtor all the little nuances and communicate well what you're able to do, what you're willing to do, because when you're talking about buying or selling a home, you have to remember that negotiating is a huge part of the deal. So let's talk about some very basic negotiating 101. When you're a buyer, the very first thing you need to know about is what market are you in, a seller's market or a buyer's market? This has a huge impact on what kind of strategies and what kind of offers you're able to put together. The second thing you need to be aware of is identifying your priorities. This allows you to strategize with your realtor, especially when we're talking during the due diligence, what kind of projects you're able to take on, how far your finances will go, and also just figuring out what at the end of the day you're willing to throw money down on. Last but not least, you need to think about leveraging your contingencies. Not all offers are going to be identical, and you need to figure out what contingencies are worth it and you're willing to do for different properties. You also need to figure out, if you are in a multiple offer situation, what contingencies you're actually able to get in the first place. All of these together are really basic, but have major long-term impacts once you're starting the process. For sellers, the very first thing you need to think about is the pricing of your home. And when I talk about this in terms of negotiation, I mean you need to figure out a strategy with your realtor that allows you to net the best possible financial gain, but also leave room for negotiation to figure out what's important when dealing with the buyer. The next thing you need to think about is, if you do get multiple offers as a seller, you need to sit down with each of these offers and really hone in on the pros and cons and figure out, are the terms just as important? Because I promise you, it's not just about the price tag. And the third thing as a seller that I would say is really important in your basic negotiation is going to be during that due diligence. When the buyer comes and asks you for repairs, you have to figure out, is it better to do the repairs? Is it better to give money? Is it better to stick to your guns and say, I'm not doing something? Or is it better to listen that these are things that are just gonna have to get done and it's time to compromise? Now keep in mind, with both as a buyer or a seller in these basic negotiations, it's always an ever-changing situation, which is why it's really important to have a realtor in your corner that you can talk through and figure out where you are, your priorities, and what you're able and willing to do. I cannot stress this enough. Negotiation is an art form. Not everybody is up to the challenge, but I promise you, I am, and I'm here to help.